Hello, folks. How are you? Thank you for being here. Not sure who is here. That's the kind of exciting thing, right? Anyway, thank you for being here. And again, I'm here now to be talking about IoT, about MQTT. And I know too, AppBoy has indicated on my Discord channel that he would be, he wants to use MQTT for doing his, looks like to be a fun project too. So that would be fun. And I actually invited AppBoy to join, but then I think he's busy too with a product launch. So I guess then he won't be here for live with us today. So if you're watching it afterwards, I hope you do, AppBoy. But anyway, then let's kind of get started. I don't know again who might be here too. Let me take a look on the chat. I guess no one is here. I'll just say hello first, and hello and welcome, even though no one is here at the moment. Hopefully you are watching me too afterwards, or kind of like after hours too. So yeah, but in any event, welcome to you to be here. Let me note too if the music and everything is getting old. And again, I'm not, honestly speaking, I'm not really like a, kind of a, as you know, I'm not audio engineer or anything. So just wanted to make sure. Let me kind of double check too. I think I have my microphone kind of kind of wanting to make sure I got my microphone set up correctly. Sometimes too I'm like checking so many things, right? Because as such I'm such an homegrown kind of a streamer in this case. So just checking different things while I'm on camera too. But thanks for your patience with me. So and let me go get started, right? So again, if you're new to MQTT, welcome. Again, this stands for Message Queuing Telemetry Transport. It is a protocol that is a publish subscribe model, right, of message transfer. So as such too, it is ideal for to be used for IoT, Internet of Things, device to device communications, machine to machine communication, essentially. And I think I show you the like the IoT stack, and let me do that again because I think it might be kind of still worth it too. And where am I? Let me search for that for you. That thing, and because I have like multiple kind of thing over here, but let me take a look. Okay. So there are some other things too. We can kind of get more into talking about the cloud deployment and everything, but for now, let's not worry about that. In fact, let me kind of go to my particular slides in here. So let me this was a webinar I did last week. So let me kind of zoom myself smaller so that I won't be blocking you. But as such too, that was what I did last week, and I think I discussed certain things with you. Um, and this one too, I just thought might be worth kind of bringing it up again because especially if you are new, wanting to learn something about IoT, right? About machine to machine communication, the kind of protocols you should be using. So if you are kind of shopping around too for a protocol to do device to device communication, especially let's say you're doing cell phone, you're doing your small devices, you're playing around with Raspberry Pi, you have some sensors that are sending data, right, that you want kind of to draw from to send data to be kind of processed by something else, right? So the thing is, I would like recommend you to use MQTT, and why is because it is really designed to be like well suited for environments with a very constrained type of operational environment, right? So like let's say your devices, sometimes with the small devices their battery capacity is very limited, and also the fact that you can be running some devices that are connected to spotty internet, right? Networking is not very reliable. It can be dropped at any time, and also the fact that the latency can be high too. It's just kind of like long kind of round trip and slow and everything. Things that we kind of some ways too as developers. Sometimes when we develop code, we're assuming the environment to be perfect, but we know that in reality it doesn't happen like that. So in fact, because of that, then there's a need for this protocol. Now the thing is, let me kind of go back in history for a little bit, right? So MQTT was invented by Andy Stanford Clark at IBM, yeah, where I was before, right? And there's actually a research arm within IBM too. They've done a lot of great things, inventions and things like that. So that's where Andy came from, and he's still there, by the way, and he's based in the UK. So that's the lab he works in, and it was this protocol was invented in 1999. I know sometimes it doesn't affect what we're doing today, but it's kind of good to get a to know some history. I think, as such, right? Any subjects too, if you have a bit of an understanding of the historical background, it always helps. That's my theory too. That's my philosophy. Don't be saying that, well, it doesn't concern me. True, something like that maybe doesn't matter. But the thing is too, if you kind of understand maybe the design of such, why is it here today as such, it has a lot to do with the history too. So as such, Andy and his partner, Arlen, needed to do a project to kind of draw data from an oil pipeline, and that was using satellite communication and oil pipelines via satellite, right? And that connection may not be reliable and kind of limited in capacity, all these things, and they have to take into account. So they designed this protocol. Now, interestingly, too, this protocol, that was the original intent, but over time too, as we know, right, the internet, everything exploded essentially in the new millennium, right? Since 2000, we have all these fancier things on the hardware side. Your machines have multi-core now. It used to be just one core. So guess what? And when you do coding, it's only one thread, right? Especially when we're talking about Java. So things like that, right? So we have to kind of accommodate the fact that the hardware is growing real fast too, and all of these other devices that are connected, and they are all over the place, everywhere, coming from anywhere, right? You basically want to transfer some signal from some sensors, right? You can have many sensors in a large type of deployment you're collecting, right? They need to be kind of get collected to some server for further processing, things like that. So MQTT kind of became very useful in that case, because it's kind of lightweight, right? And I was kind of talking about it. I know I may be repeating the same thing to some of you who are already familiar with it and working with it and all that, but still, I wanted to point out, right, it's a messaging protocol for IoT specific, but you don't actually have to restrict the use to only IoT type of scenario. If you have a need, right, for any kind of messaging for device to device, and but I think the thing is, though, in today's world, any kind of device to device, and you have to communicate, you rely on some network. That's in itself is already kind of like we call it internet, but it kind of encompassing a lot of different kind of protocols too. So if we kind of go back, right, let me kind of, you don't mind going back to that stack, that's how I go by, right? So if you look at it on the communication protocols layer of this IoT stack, which I kind of abstracted out, from the OSI, right? The Open System Interconnect kind of governing body that defines the 7 layers of networking protocol, right? Some of you, if you're a networking expert, you're familiar with the OSI layer. And if you're new to it too, you can read up on it. Essentially, it's like defining a standard for communication, network communication, right? So there are 7 layers, and again, they're like I think I already kind of went through that, so I won't go through it today again. But as such, there are different layers that goes from like physical layer, device to device, and then the Ethernet physical link layer, and then it goes to then the data link layer, and then goes then to the IP kind of internet protocol, which is like the networking layer that has TCP IP. They are more in the fourth and they're in the fourth layer, and then you go into like session and then presentation and then the application layer. So MQTT is actually on the application layer of your networking, that stack. But within the IoT, it fits into this communication protocols kind of stack. So as you can see, there are many other protocols. Today, we've been talking more, that's where I'm working at now, Hive MQ. So we're doing MQTT. That's the bread and butter of the company, right? And it is very proven itself to be totally very robust protocol. And then the thing is too, is that you can use other protocols too. Nobody's telling you that that's the MQTT is the only choice, but MQTT is the best choice, I guarantee you. So then otherwise too, you can have CoAP, right? Constrained application protocol. That's actually leveraging on UDP. So the guaranteed delivery aspect isn't as much, right? Because UDP, user datagram protocol, doesn't like have the acknowledgement that's kind of required like from TCP, kind of that protocol. So but anyway, I'm not going to get into all the detail, but you can also examine into that. There are certain types of utility type of application scenario for device-to-device communication. If you want kind of much faster and you don't worry so much about reliability, that might be the one to use, I suppose. And then there's also AMQP, more for banking, started from banking industry. DDS is also the data, is kind of focusing more on IoT data, like data distribution service. So I won't get into detail here now, but we can discuss it in a future session too. Then XMPP, that's the XML-based kind of protocol, which actually is the Google messaging is actually leveraging on that, which is kind of interesting. And so that's kind of XMPP is a bit more catered for the instant messaging kind of application space, right? Okay, then there are other things like the IPv4, IPv6, and 6LoWPAN, all these things that are for low kind of, low, what you call low energy, low power consumption, or low power, I should say, not consumption, just low power powered IPv6 servers, and then Bluetooth, GSM, all of these things. And then there's also the core platform with IoT messaging middleware, such as Hive Mq. It really is a messaging middleware that leverages on the MQTT protocol to do its job. And then there's protocol gateway, data aggregation, data storage and filter. All of these things are kind of like core platform that gives you the infrastructure on which, on top of which these protocols are able to kind of function and enabled, through this kind of platform layer that can then supply services over up top to the analytics platform that can do stuff for you like reports, events, machine learning, stream processing, all of these things. And even above that would be more of the cognitive platform, right? A bit more of higher level too of kind of things, applications such as AI type of applications, voice recognition, gestures and spoken, all of these things. They are relying on, communication sensors, right? That are sensing maybe somebody, having, what you call it, like robotic stuff, right? That's kind of controlling certain action, things like that. They are really leveraging on a lot of devices to collect data and doing these heavy calculations and sends it over to a server for processing, and then we'll be directing that, kind of trigger off some action, let's say to a robot, based on some input sensor, so kind of things like that. So that's more kind of cognitive. And then if you go kind of really way above, it's really like the solution, kind of IoT solution layer, things like, for example, these days, right, we have refrigerator that you can program it and communicate with your cell phone. If it's pretty amazing, right? Isn't it? There are actually, now for me, I don't have such a fancy refrigerator, but I'm aware of refrigerators are able to sense what you are low in, right? Let's say you have milk, and then it realized that you can program it so then it sends that, okay, you are low on milk, you need to go get milk. And then if you say you are like low on some vegetables, I don't know how they measure vegetables. Maybe milk you can, maybe, you put it inside some container, right, inside your refrigerator, and then you have a sensor of measuring the weight, the volume, right, of that, the milk supply. If you kind of realize that, okay, the volume drops to a point, then you need to send out messages to notify the owner of the house. Let's say I have an app. My app is actually, it will push some messages, from your actually not from, push from your refrigerator, the sensor for like low milk indicator, send it to your app that's running on your phone, telling you. So then let's say, you're out shopping and then you're like, oh, well, I actually need to get more milk now, for example, things like that, right? So that's just some kind of like example of how you can use them at home, right? It's kind of a solution kind of thing for the consumer, the end consumer. Now you can have wearables, right, that are kind of, I don't have that, but I think there are the iPhone, or what you call it kind of looks like a watch, right? That kind of wrist thing. But anyway, because I don't use iPhone, so I don't know what it is. But you know what I mean. So those kind of a lifestyle thing, something that would measure your fitness level, things like that, right? They are all relying on some sensors and like devices that will send data for further processing. So those are kind of consumer thing. There's also enterprise level stuff like, when you get into companies, they have sales, doing business operations, all of these things, right? They are also like measuring a lot of movement in certain types of kind of systems that are, for example, like your websites, you want to like, do some kind of like measurement, how many people click on it, things like that, right? So people are actually running, there can be so many clients running on laptops, or not just laptops, but like cell phone and things like that. So all these things, right? If you click on it, there are sensors that collect the data. But of course, in that case, we're doing a client, that's a client app that's running, is collecting data and then sending this data over to the server, and then server will accumulate or aggregate all of this data and draw a conclusion. How popular is the site? How many people clicking? From what type of devices it is being kind of clicking on your website, things like that, right? So yeah, so the potentials are unlimited, right? You can kind of think of new ideas. And to me too, I'm always kind of thinking of ways, if I can, right, to help those who are in need. That's kind of like so important. If you think of your grandparents, right, grandmother living alone, somebody, and it's interesting too, they're talking about which in one of my early career days, I was actually working for a telephone company. Well, kind of like what you call it, like telecom, but telephone communications, and they're designing devices for triggering telephone communications for senior citizens, right? They're older folks, right? If they are living by themselves, what if they fall down? They fall down, they can't get up, right? There's also always this kind of, in fact, the product was called Emerge Alert. So it stands for like emergency alert. So like, let's say if you think of your grandfather or grandmother fell down or something, and they can't get up and they are living by themselves. But the nice thing is, let's say they have a device with them, they can basically click on a button somewhere, right? The button will then trigger an alert kind of warning system, right? Seeking for help. And that system could be like tie into a server that's basically will dial 911, right? In the US, it's 911. But I think other countries have different code that you can call the police station, call the ambulance, somebody to come and get you and help you. So those are kind of things, right? They are all kind of Internet of Things kind of related too. But anyway, I kind of get carried away. But these are like, I always like to think of how something can be used, how can they be designed, why is this technology important, that type of stuff. So you can imagine too, at any moment, right? Your system is hard at work. A devices, let's say, is kind of like being worn by your, it can be some kind of sensor, maybe just sense that maybe somebody fell down too, maybe that person is unconscious or something, right? I don't know. All of a sudden I'm thinking of it, because talking about which too, I heard, right, yesterday from a story that was it, I think in France, there was somebody who actually, a guy who fell down in the sidewalk, right, in a busy street or something. And what was it? It was cold. It was actually very cold or something. He slipped and fell, but he fell down, and then nobody was there to help him. Something like that. Now, sometimes people are not intentional, I know, but then also two people may be too busy. They are not looking that somebody was like sleeping on the ground. They thought he was just sleeping on the ground, out on the street somewhere. But the thing is too, maybe if there's devices that could sense that this person the pulse is going down, all of these things, maybe it can trigger some kind of alert system to the emergency services of your city or village or something, right? And then somebody could kind of get the alert, could come out like, like an emergency vehicle, like an ambulance could go out and kind of help this person and locate him and all these things, right? Things like that, right? Anyway, that's just some idea of what you can do, with this protocol, the kind of work you can do. But sometimes too, the interesting is that we may be like focusing on one part, but this one part of work, is so important in terms of the larger picture, right? This part is kind of feeding into a larger system, maybe some other enterprise system behind the scenes that are actually fetching other kind of services. So that kind of forms like a solution to solve some problem. So essentially that's what it is. So I was then talking all about the solutions layer. There's also industrial solution, right? Industrial solutions, like we're building automobiles, cars that are connected cars, that are self-driving cars, things like that. These have many sensors too, to be able to enable, a vehicle to be self-driving, things like that, right? So, and then there are also logistics, right? I was kind of thinking the other day too, that could be like, a truck driver, delivery person, right? Delivering things, right? Some shipping thing. And basically this delivery person that's working, right, driving the truck, could have all of these goods that he or she is trying to deliver. So even to this, in this day already, they may be carrying devices that can do instant communication. Maybe they deliver a package, they can immediately picture of the delivery and then sends it back to the server. So the server can then notify the receiver, right, the recipient of this package that is delivered, things like that. So I think this is already in place. So when they probably not used to, I don't need to kind of repeat what you're already aware of. But the thing is that the point I'm trying to make is that, the possibilities are really limitless, right? And I challenge, us all to think of ways of using technology to build something good, for humanity. I think that's what I'm calling for. So anyway, but that's what it is, the IoT stack. So, and let me kind of like get a bit more into it now. Now I'm not sure who else is here, but it seems a little bit quiet today. But anyway, I think last time too, I was demonstrating like a very simple case, right, of doing what is it needed, right, to do MQTT. So it's basically essentially, right, if we go back in here, this guy is messaging protocol, and there are like quality of services level. Now, this level is actually very important for MQTT. And essentially, too, think of this is a protocol. So the core of what enables this protocol to be so good, right? You can say you have protocol, but you need something to enable the protocol to be working. But in MQTT is essentially the broker is the centerpiece of enabling this to happen. Now, of course, too, then we have Mqtt Client, right? So we'll take a look into it. But the thing is, too, this QoS level is absolutely important because it's used for message delivery like guarantee. So I can kind of go over a little bit, or I don't remember if I said get into that last time, but just in case I haven't, let me get into it today. So, okay, so and then there are retained messages and stateful and persistent sessions. These are kind of like core features of kind of MQTT, you know, to kind of like any kind of MQTT broker, right, will have to have this kind of support too. And the protocol itself, right, it's kind of it's very lightweight because it's binary, and it's essentially to the overhead should be very, very minimal. Is what this protocol is. So okay, excuse me. So like so let's get a bit into the basic features of the MQTT 3.1.1. So I think I have explained to you already last time, but let's kind of do a quick review. If you recall, right, the broker essentially is like the post office, right? You want to send a messages, you know, you will be the client, right? You're the client as publishing messages with the letter, right? If you kind of use that analogy. So in order to do that, you do need to first connect with the broker. So send that command. The broker will have to send you back and say acknowledge, right? And then you're saying that, okay, cool, I publish it. When I publish some messages, I publish it. And the broker will then return back and saying you know, I acknowledge this command packet being sent to me. And then also too, then in that case, there are clients, right? Clients can be publisher. In this case, we can say, well, clients can be actually the ones receiving, expecting the messages. They subscribe to your topic, and then broker will send back an acknowledge, right? Acknowledgement. So, okay. And over here, the packet. I think I also took a look into the packet with you, maybe. But if not, let's also kind of take a look again. So each packet, right? Let's say a connect packet. You always will have the client ID, the clean session indicator, and then a bunch of like optional parameters, which include like username, password, and the last will too. So I don't know how it kind of gets into here. Here. Yeah. So the last will, and then all of these things in here. So I can kind of quickly touch on this again, but let's say, right, the basic scenario in this case is actually is a connect, but the connect can actually have like QoS like one. In this case too, will be kind of a one, because you send over the connect command to the broker. The receiver side is the broker. The broker will then send you back a con-ack, right? So acknowledge it. So this would be kind of like a QoS level one to you expecting an acknowledgement too. So we'll take a look into QoS. I don't think I explained too much about the QoS last time. So let's kind of go over here. Okay, so quality of services, right? So this is actually very important in any type of like message-driven, message-oriented kind of software, because it guarantees the delivery. It is important, because otherwise your message could be just kind of like, you know, like think of like a bottle. You know, you put a message into a bottle, you throw it into the ocean, it'll be kind of sense it and forget, right? Fire and forget type. So that actually would be called QoS 0. That's a level zero. So that means at most once delivery, but it can also not happen too. It's basically a best effort type of delivery, right? So it's kind of like the sender sends things over to in this case, to the broker. And basically, I'm not expecting a return. I don't even care, kind of like that type. So the broker gets it, and knowing it's zero, he doesn't bother to send back any kind of response either. So that's kind of the fastest. Now, the thing is, the next level is QoS 1. So level 1 is basically saying at least once delivery. And this also means too, you can have duplicate too. So that's acceptable for QoS 1. Now, QoS 2 is basically the most precise and the highest guarantee level of delivery. Why? Because it basically says it's exactly once delivery, no more and no less, right? So there's essentially two, it takes more time if you want to make sure it is only once, not more than once. You don't accept duplicate. So, okay, so let's kind of like take a look now into the first, on the packet level. QoS level 0 is basically a publish. As you can see over here, the packet ID, you don't even need to give the packet ID because you don't really expect any acknowledgement. So on the broker side, I get it, and then I just kind of do whatever I need to do, sends it to the ones who have subscribed to this topic. So that's what it is. So that's QoS 1. Easy enough, right? So easy enough at least to understand in this case. But in cases of why you want to use QoS 1 is, let's say there are some cases in which you're collecting some data for plotting a graph or something, and you, in some ways too, you don't care even if the data doesn't arrive. If you kind of set the frequency of being too high, like every minute you're collecting some data, and so you figure, okay, even if I miss one or two, it doesn't matter because the graph, maybe you know that you can miss some data. That's not gonna affect your graph like by way too much, something like that, right? I'm just kind of hypothetical, making up a scenario for such a level of services, right? So, and you can think of any other thing too. So, okay, so now let's take a look at QoS level 1. So level 1 essentially is you're expecting the delivery to be at least once, right? So and basically too, here's what is happening. The sender, right, the client would send let's say a publish client. So you do a publish command. So the packet, as you can see, you do require to give the packet ID because that's kind of the identifier of this particular packet. So you then specify the topic name and the QoS level as 1, right? And here too, you can also say retain. Do I want to retain this message and for future use? In this case, you can say no to however way you need it. And then your actual payload. And then also dupe flag. Now, the very first time you send it out, the dupe flag, as such, it indicates duplicate flag is always false. It's not the duplicate. It's the first time you send it out. So you send out the packet, and on the broker side, it receives it. So like let's say if I don't respond, basically if it never got to the broker side, or if the broker decides not to respond, in that case, it will time out. So time out from the perspective of the client, the sender client. So the sender client would kind of like, okay, you didn't get my thing, so let me try again. So in this case, we send the same packet again, but you notice the dupe flag will then be true because in this case, you know that there's a possibility of a duplicate send in this case if the first one will be arriving to the broker side. That means you can have double delivery too in that case, right? And in some cases too, you can kind of, depending on your situation, it doesn't matter. You can have duplicate is what it is. So so in that case too, if let's say the first time he doesn't respond and it times out, and then the sender client would say, okay, let me resend, duplex sets to true, then basically this time, if the broker gets it and decides to, okay, let me acknowledge it, I'll send back the acknowledgement, then in the packet, you just need to indicate the packet ID. So then that way the sender side knows that, okay, you got it. And then you don't care, even if the broker gets it twice, right, in this case. Okay. And now this is the quality of service 2. So in this case, this is the one, right? Like I said, is the most precise and most exact kind of level and guarantee and highest level of guaranteeing kind of message delivery. As you can see, you do have pay a price of the performance kind of penalty too, so to speak. It's not so much like really like a minute or so that's I'm talking. But now the thing is too, in an IoT scenario, we have to know that we're dealing with not just one device, and sometimes too, and a lot of times, in fact, you could be dealing with many devices. So any kind of things, right, transaction, however you want to call it, processing will take too long. It adds up to the total time it would take. And then let's say if you are in an environment, right, you're using the server, the cloud server to do things. If you like hold on to some resource for too long, then you get charged, So that is very important. Even like this small, like little nanosecond or something, or sub nanosecond, something like that. So anyway, so you will realize that, yes, it will be a bit more costly. You need to send another pair, essentially at least kind of 2 pair of like send and receive, right? So in this case, if you say, using the same example of a publish, you want to publish, and basically you specify QoS 2, all these things, and blah, 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 and it gets over to the broker side. Now, if the broker like decides, or kind of like, let's say in a sunny day scenario, the broker acknowledge it. Basically, it would send back not an ACK, but it's called just a pub rec. It's kind of like receive. So I've received it. So in this case, the sender client gets it, look at the packet ID. Okay, that's that packet. That's very cool. Then I will send another acknowledgement back to the broker, sort of like, okay, I got your acknowledgement. That's what it means. Now, why is it important? Because this is needed in order to guarantee the message can only be delivered once. So that's why too you have this extra step, right, of kind of like send and kind of a kind of another pair of command that goes back and forth. And so you basically too, in this case, the second send will be a pub rec. I'm sorry. And wait, here, sorry. And so pub rel, and then so basically too is the broker then will get back and say, okay, this is essentially acknowledging the fact that I have actually that the sender has actually received my initial kind of acknowledgement, so to speak, right? And so in that case, the broker will kind of look at pub rel and say that, okay, very cool. So in this case, then I can kind of claim victory, essentially saying that I have completed it. In that case, then the broker will send back a pub comp indicating completion of this particular delivery. And in this case, you only guarantee only once delivery. So because too is that you can, let's say you send a pub first and it times out. So the broker will then not respond. And basically the client can send back another kind of a duplicate flag in here too, indicating a duplicate. But the broker too will then have to recognize that on the broker side, it will realize that I can only kind of accept one, and not more than one. So based on that, it will just kind of indicate received. And then basically client will come back and say, I acknowledge that your first acknowledgement. The broker too will then kind of figure out, okay, this is a QoS 2. I only want to make sure I only receive one. It will kind of like indicate back to the sender client that this is completed, like that. So there's that need of kind of indicating, so then the broker doesn't like accept the messages twice too, or more than once. So that kind of guarantees it exactly once. So okay, so that's that. So it's a bit of a description of this QoS 2, the different quality of service level, right? So okay, so for now, then maybe we should then, hey, good evening, Fusnabo. Thank you for joining. Do you want to join me today again? I know you want to talk about licensing, right? I don't know if you like hearing about MQTT as much. Hopefully it's useful, right? And let me know if you want to join too. Thank you for joining. Okay, so that's very cool. I hope it is useful. I was trying to explain the QoS. I don't know if you listened to it or if you kind of it affects what you do, right? I mean, sometimes I think it's just nice to know, because QoS is not just it's more like a mechanism that's not just applicable for MQTT. It's just any kind of messaging systems too will leverage on this mechanism to kind of do the message guarantee delivery kind of thing. So okay, so that's why I thought it's important to talk about it. But at this time, then let me then change a bit of a focus, right, to kind of take a look into the MQTT client. Like last time we did the quick thing, and which is actually Fusnabo, you joined me that 2 weeks ago. We work on that one simple client, right, to kind of get it to work, kind of like that. So today too, we can kind of look a bit too, not just at the JavaScript client, which we work on. There's also, Hive MQ has MQTT client in Java too, and then there are also various open source communities that are contributing to the other client types, right? All these things. So we can also take a look into it too. So okay, so let me kind of go back now then in this case, and quality of service. If like I said, you can read up on, again, if you go to Hive MQ, and then these are the different editions too, if you're interested. But basically too, before I get to that too, just wanted to point out, right, there are essentially like three different editions, right? And let me kind of make it slightly bigger for you to look at, right? Okay, so there are different editions, but the community edition is the open source version. So as you can see, it supports MQTT 3.1, 3.1.1, and then MQTT 5. And then there's also this MQTT version compatibility layer. It says it allows clients that use different MQTT versions to communicate via one broker. This enables subscribers using MQTT 5 to receive a message from publishers that use MQTT 3.1.1, for example, right? So that's kind of nice to this compatibility layer, because you can have, you're kind of this way too, you kind of guarantee that different version of client can communicate with the same broker, so there's no need for multiple kind of installation of broker too. So yeah. Oh, okay, Snabo, you're happy just listening? Okay, sure, no problem. Next time will be good too. Anytime. In fact, yeah, I really enjoy having you. I know you said you were talking about licensing. I thought that was very good, by the way, Snabo, because now you've made me become more aware, right, of the surrounding. Well, there's this licensing thing, and especially when you point out about licensing. Oh, and I have not looked into GitHub. You told me about the GitHub, what is it, Copilot, right? I have not got a chance to get into that yet, but you brought up a really good point, because with the GitHub Copilot, right? And I don't mean to digress, but Fusnabo 2 weeks ago was telling us about that. I think it's pretty cool, right? You can use AI kind of mechanism to generate the code for you, essentially coding for you, right? So in that case, if the original code actually has open source kind of component to it, then if you generate the code, different open source licenses have different rules, right? So I think that was very good, Fusnabo. You pointed out, alerting us to that. So then if we are kind of doing that type of work, with different licenses, we have to be very careful and cognizant about what we do, and so then that way we don't get it ourselves into trouble, right? So okay, so that's that. So thank you, Fusnabo. Yeah, okay. And anyway, let me kind of then go back to Hive MQ, the different editions. So if you want, get Hive MQ over here, right? So it's basically, you can go to the front page too, but this is like the editions page. And so I think, did I give that to you? Let me see. Caption, let me kind of like that. Okay, so let me do this. And so this is just, oops, not this. I think this one. Okay. And so this is like this is the page, right? For you to kind of take a look at the different editions comparison. Again, the community version is all free. You can use it for free. Now, the thing is too, if you look into it, so if you need just a basic broker to do your work, this is pretty sufficient too, I'd say, the basic one. For example, like all of these different versioning support the compatibility layer, the WebSocket Client, WebSockets to IPv4 and v6, and TLS and SSL. And somebody was asking me about encryption, and in fact, there's also a plugin that supports encryption too. So although I'm not sure, I think if that plugin is a paid one or not, I have to look for that. So anyway, then there are also what is called extension, right? So you can actually kind of integrate with Apache Kafka, for example. You could be, let's say you have a project, you want to be collecting some data, right, from some devices, that you want the data to get passed into your enterprise in a work situation, an enterprise operating scenario that you have backend doing enterprise work. So in that case too, you can kind of sort of like use a bridge, right? That bridge over the data that you've collected, from the front end, so to speak, front end from all your devices, that can actually be passed on to a Kafka queue, some kind of, well, I shouldn't say queue, Kafka kind of topic, right? You send it over to a Kafka broker, right? And then it will take care of things for you in the back end accordingly too. So there's really lots of usages too, if you want to have it work with Kafka. And I know, Fusnabo, you are very familiar, or you have worked with Kafka quite extensively too in the past. So anyway, so if you're interested in that, you can kind of think of it that way. And then there are also Enterprise Edition that kind of gives you more extension, kind of SDK, kind of integration capability too. So all of these things. So if you kind of look at, but of course, if you do the paid version, you will get a lot more of these, things, kind of cloud native clustering, all of these kind of things too. But we're not looking at that today for now. But I'd like to still kind of introduce you to the Hive MQ Cloud too. We'll take a look at that. Yeah. So shortly. So okay. And then there's also Control Center. So Control Center is essentially the dashboard and everything. I think I showed that to you. So we'll take a look at that too. But otherwise too, yeah, unfortunately, right, the base version isn't like, kind of providing you a lot of the bells and whistles, so to speak, right? So, but you can certainly integrate it with some other third-party technology as well. So, but essentially, too, the community version has kind of very good level, I guess, of basic security with TLS and SSL. and then pluggable authentication and the authorization and permission side. But it doesn't have some of these other fancier, so to speak, like native TLS or SSL. But you then in that case you have to look into the enterprise level edition too. And then monitoring too. Actually, monitoring, you can have MQTT message metrics, JMX monitoring, and open source monitoring extension. So that's not too bad. Like you can have extension, build your own kind of extension as well. And then, but then it doesn't have some of the kind of nicer kind of tooling for doing testing. Like that. Oh, okay. So I was talking about integration, right, with Apache Kafka. So then, well, in that case, I think this is what it is you do need to kind of look into the enterprise extension level, right? The bridging to another MQTT broker and the enterprise security extension too. So these are the different licensing. This is the part that Fusnabo is very interested in. Licensing, I actually didn't know. We are Apache v2. Oh, maybe you found that out for me, Fusnabo, right? Yeah, I think you did actually. And I didn't even know, and then you found it. Yeah. Yeah, you think Copilot could be cool to get started with Hive MQ. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah, for new devs. Yeah, I have to look into that. Maybe let me plan an episode where maybe when you're ready to join, we can kind of work on a simple example of doing that too. So, okay. But anyway, yeah, so this is Apache version 2 for our open source version. So, okay, so that's the different additions. And thing is too, I wanted to look into, before we get into the client, right? There's also the client page too. So this one is basically if you want to take a look into MQTT client library encyclopedia, or actually, let me kind of go back into here. This is the page too on the client library encyclopedia. But it's actually, if you look into here, if you go to the main website too, there's the client library. That's how you can get to it. But let me also give that to you. I don't think I've given that to you. That's right. I don't think I've given that to you. I've given you the Cloud Broker. But the thing is, too, this one is the client. Okay, so this is the link. That's the MQTT Client Library Encyclopedia. So it has all sorts of kind of information for you to get started. To writing a client in different kind of supported languages. So you just have to go to the next one, which is this guy featured. Hive MQ. Oh, this is just the feature, the Hive MQ. This is the Java library too. So otherwise too, if you scroll down, right, this is kind of nice. Then you can kind of take a look into the different ways you can write client using different languages. And you pick any one that you're familiar with, right? So all of these things, and we have also an Eclipse Paho. I think I showed that to you. The Paho is essentially an Eclipse project that enables you to write MQTT client, and it supports different languages, to a lot of different languages too. So it has Go, it has Java, it has embedded C++, right? And actually, what else? There's .NET. In fact, if you are coming from more of the Microsoft .NET side of things, you can use Eclipse Paho and then write a .NET client to it too. So now I haven't used Lua, but that is interesting. I should probably take a look into it. But actually, my example too was using plain old kind of JavaScript, but you can also use Paho JavaScript too. And then there are other ones, right? Like Python too for Paho, or Mosquito too. Mosquito is also an Eclipse project, and it's open source, and it's an MQTT broker. So and it has like PHP for that too. But it's actually Mosquito too is written in, I think, C or C++. So it's more kind of more on that side, this C side. But let's kind of also take a look too. So okay, so if you want to kind of like take a look into it, right? So we can also kind of take a look into it. But before I get into it, though, I thought I'd point out, right, the Hive MQ Cloud. So this one too, I don't know if I pointed out to you, but you can visit our kind of cloud page, because the nice thing about this is you can get like a free tier access, right? So that's kind of very easily, you can kind of spin up a cluster. So I was going to just quickly show you that, and maybe I did it last time, but sometimes let's see, what is it? Oh, it's just saying that I already have it. So broker, this one. Oh yeah, that's why I already show you. So which means I might have already done that, but let's kind of do like a very, very quick kind of introductory thing. Let me kind of step through. So if you want to sign up, right, you can just sign up click on sign up now. Now, in my case, I've already signed up. So this will come back already with a dashboard page for me kind of like quickly. So let's see. This is kind of like taking a bit longer time. Yeah. Okay. So I've already signed up, but let's say if you're kind of brand new to it, then it would just come. Let me, you know what? Let me kind of just to be sure. Let me, because then if you are new, because I have to make some assumptions to some of you joining today, maybe like all brand new. So I wanted to make sure that it isn't unclear, right? So let me kind of get to this. Let me get to this particular. Okay. Let me kind of get to this, and I think this one. Okay. I have another profile. So over here too, this is actually getting started. Oh, I've already. Okay, here we go. And log out. Let me log out first, right? So if you want to sign in, so when you kind of sign up, then it will have this. But in my case, I wanted to just sign in using my Google ID. So I have actually created myself like 2 accounts, right? So if you sign up to the first time, then it will be stepping through. Oh, okay. So I was hoping that it would kind of let me step through some things, or but it didn't. But no big deal. I think if you, because I already have an account, it kind of brings me straight to my clusters, kind of simple kind of dashboard page. But if you don't, then basically it will, you just need to step through and then create a key for your particular cluster, and then essentially it will then bring you to this page. And also just doing some kind of initial setup, everything shouldn't take too long. It is probably like less than 2 minutes. You'll be up with a cluster. So in that case, let me do this, because I think I would just work with my other cluster, this one. So this one is what I want to work on. So now let me make it a little slightly bigger in here. So you see that you would see this particular kind of a dashboard page, and why is it kind of off? Okay, here we go. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay, here we go. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so if you get here, it generated a free cluster for you. And then see if it's been running for a week now, but I want to do a managed cluster. And so basically, then it will bring you to the cluster, the details of the cluster. So you can basically start using it. That's a nice thing. Now, in my particular case, I'm using AWS, and there's also another choice, which is using the Azure, to the Microsoft Azure platform. So you can choose anyone; it doesn't matter, and you can have up to like 100 client sessions for free too, without being charged, and up to like 10 gigabytes. And the data retention time will be 3 days. Maximum message size is 5 megabytes. So you can use this for kind of more like your test bed too. So you can use it unlimited, right, ways. And so it gives you all of these, it generates all of these. Now, in order to kind of get back, you can go to this access management. It will kind of let you define it's actually adding more credentials too. You can do that, and it shows you what you have set up and all these things. And then if you go to getting started, right, then basically you can then connect your first MQTT client. So I think I have shown you this, but let's also kind of take a look, right? If you want to quickly kind of use a WebSocket client, we have this kind of for your convenience, so to speak. So you can, if you write up some code, you want to like quickly test it using the WebSocket client, this is something you can do as long as you provide your particular host name and port number and all of these things. So okay, so in my case, it's this page is nice. When you log on, it will give you your host name, right? The kind of long, kind of a unique identifier kind of name to your cluster. And so, but this actually gives you an example too of how to do it and how do you subscribe to it. All of these things you can basically use the WebSocket client interface to do this quickly. Yeah. So okay, so if I kind of if I want to actually access this client, then basically on this same page, you see there's a here, right? This thing, you can just click on it. It will basically bring to your specific instance of your WebSocket client. So, okay. Okay, so this is mine. It's pre-populated, which is nice. So, and the thing is, what is my password? I think I have that. Okay. Uh, Actually, is this guy, right? Actually, you know what? Let me see if it works too. I thought last time when I connect it, actually, okay, I do need to have the password, but I thought I didn't save it. I might not have saved it onto my one password for this particular one. So if you can just hold on 1 minute, because I think I do have my password saved too. So just a minute. So uh, my cloud. Uh, okay. Okay. Okay, so now I should be good. Now, in this particular case, I'll do a connect, right? See the packet, right? If you kind of recall, we have client ID and then username and password, and it's optional too. So basically, you can set up your particular broker too that doesn't accept any credential too. But I obviously that's not suggested, right? So, but over here I have username and password, keep alive, and then if it's using SSL, if it's clean session, and all of these things, the last will, all of these things. So, let's do a connection first. Okay, so now I'm all connected, right, to my quick kind of spun up cluster, and then I can just say, okay, topic. I can just kind of do test topic. Let's say Twitch, right? Let's do a Twitch one, and then doing a QoS, let's say 0, and I don't want to retain. It would just saying that sending a QoS 0 message, okay, and then I can publish it. Well, actually, the thing is, too, let's subscribe to it first. So I'll just say I can just subscribe to any that's kind of having this hierarchy of test topic, right? Start with that, and I'll have QoS 2. But let's say just QoS 1 is good enough for now. I don't care about duplicate. Subscribe to it first, okay? Now let me then publish. So now then immediately I'm getting this, and let's say I can do different things. Have another Twitch thing. I can just do like a 2. Let's do a 2, and then sending a QoS2 message. Now you can play with it, right? And so basically, 2, I'm already subscribing to anyone, so no need to resubscribe. I can just publish. So now I get a QoS2 in here. Now, last time was kind of interesting. I think there were different folks that are publishing to this topic on this cluster. So I was getting other people's messages too. At first, I'm like, where did they come from? It's because there are other. So let's say, right, if I want to kind of do this subscription from another, I wonder though. Now this one is my cluster in here. I wonder if it is actually, if it is on the same cluster. I think this got to be the same kind of pool, right, of cluster. So let's say if I kind of go into here, this is my other cloud account. Oops. So if I do this, so over here, if I go to my, actually, here we go, getting started. I'll go to my Websocket client for my other one. Okay. Okay. Now I do a connect. Okay, this one, is it the same too? Okay. Oops, I kind of accidentally hit twice. Okay, so basically 2. That's interesting. It's kind of giving me a color. Let's say this one. I'll just do I'll do a green for this. Okay, subscribe to anything. So, oh, but the thing is too is that I like to be able to see this, right? So, okay, how would I do it? Okay, well, actually, it doesn't matter, right? I could do it like, I wonder if I could. I guess I have to like. Oops. Oh, ah. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. I wonder. I wonder too. This guy. Actually, then. Oh, sorry. This guy will have to be maximized first, and then if I try to do this. Okay, because I want both console to be together. So okay, so let's see. So I can do this. Let me kind of make it slightly bigger so we can see it better. This one we can see okay. Yeah. So okay, so my publish is on the yellow side, and then I have my orange side. And so two different cluster that I've set up. So over here, that's what I'm wondering too. If I want to like publish, let me just do a 0. So this one, I'm going to be subscribing to anything. So if I say publish, right? Okay. All right. So if I do that, oh, so maybe they don't share the same cluster, because I thought last time I was seeing multiple ones. So if I said well, actually this is like for any. Is it only number? Okay. Let me kind of take a look. Yeah, it should be okay. I think the pound means anything, but let's kind of go back to doing like publishing to one, and this would be like that. So okay. So I think okay. So maybe in this case, they even though I have both clusters set up, but I think they are both not within doing things within the same cluster. Meaning, I just wasn't sure if this, if when I first spin up my cluster, could they be within the same namespace, right? So then if they are both within the same namespace, if I publish, then my other cluster, the another client that's running on another cluster, maybe if they're sharing in the same share cluster, then I would be able to also be receiving messages that's published from my cluster one in here. Let's say my cluster one on the left side and cluster two. So okay, so let's say if I, yeah, because it was funny, really. Last time, how was I able to get multiple? Oh, you know why? It wasn't like my cluster, but it's basically two. Okay, so here we go. There's also a if you kind of go to our Hive MQ, this actually was it like this one? Yeah, this one. Okay, so now this particular, well, wait a minute. I think let me kind of go back to the Hive MQ. There's also like a public like testable cluster that you can use, right? Broker on the cluster, I should say, that you can use, from Hive MQ. So if you go to hivemq.com, and basically if you go down MQTT and then go to the public Mtt Broker, which is here. Let me kind of share that with you. Is it the same? Let me add that. Okay, so this link here is where this public broker page is located. So if you click on that, then there's also, it explains to you that there's a public broker. So this broker, essentially, we just publish it so anybody can connect to it and for doing testing purpose, right? So which is kind of nice. So so you can access it at broker.hivemq.com, and then port 1883, and the WebSocket port is 800 in here. So, or 8000, I'm so sorry. So I kind of make it a little bit higher in here. So if you kind of get to that, oops, that's what I'm trying to refer to. So yeah, so if you go to this, then you can kind of access this public MQTT broker. Now, in order to test it, there's actually, if you try MQTT browser client, so this will bring you to the this public WebSocket client for testing purposes. Okay, so let's give it a try. So this would be I think that's where I saw that wasn't my own instance, and I got kind of confused. But it's actually this particular public broker too. So over here too, again, there's no need to give username and password in here. It's just a public broker. It's just all for fun, It says nothing, or so don't send anything kind of secretive there. Okay, no SSL, and then you can do a connect. Okay, so yeah, so in this case too, let's kind of add the new topic subscription. I'll just do one. I don't mind, right? It's kind of just doing, or even like doing, let's do a 0. So basically subscribe to anything, and I will have a color of, let's say, red or something. Okay. Okay, so I'm subscribed. See, yeah, this is where I'm seeing. So see, there are people actually using our public public broker for doing testing too. So that's kind of interesting, right? Oh, I think folks, if you read Cyrillic, right? If you're Russian or any, I guess, country that uses Cyrillic, I think you'll be able to understand that. But they're like, I don't know what people are sending. Oh my gosh, are they kind of crazy or what? Anyway, but of course too, what people are actually communicating, isn't it funny? Yeah. So anyway, try this out. Try this public broker out, right? So let me kind of like send that directly to you if you don't go through that page, right? So uh, the Hive MQ web socket client for public broker. Okay, so I'm covering myself, but that way too if you want to kind of give this a try, right? So okay, maybe let me kind of go back in here. Let me kind of well, actually, let me kind of not make it way too small. No, okay. So actually, let me do this one thing maybe. Let me kind of make this like that, and then I will. Okay, so now we can at least see some messages, but I can also kind of look into this client showcase, right? So basically, too, let's try out different. We can publish different things, like publish it to one, and so basically, it's like hello from Twitch. Uh, yeah, anyone? Let me see if anyone wants to join the MQTT Twitch stream. Let's see if there might be people seem to be playing around with this messaging. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna be publishing, although I can't set the color. So let me publish. So um, that is so interesting. I think there are just many. Okay, here we go. So this is my message, right? So I just published this. Anyone wants to join the MQTT Twitch stream, right? Now I don't know what everybody is doing in here. It almost seems like somebody must be doing some level of testing. They are serious, right? They're actually sending some real data somewhere. Um, so there are also folks that are using this that appears to be sending some. Oh, maybe just ad hoc thing. Maybe they're just testing something for free, or maybe also too there might be somebody that wrote some program and then just walk away and then didn't actually unset things they forgot they are still publishing. Maybe something, maybe some kind of automated thing. People said, I have a question. The people are actually asking, can I create a separate topic structure for each client? That's an interesting question, I think, right? Okay, so it looks like there must be kind of like a stream of like subscriber and like publishing too. There, somebody is publishing to this, and a stream of like subscriber just are doing some kind of like automated constant permanence subscription or something. So yeah, and but it's interesting too. Yeah, somebody is actually asking question, or maybe they're just testing things out too, right? So that's pretty cool. Maybe that's where, yeah, see, that's where I saw this because I thought I was like testing something, and I realized it's actually this one is the yeah. So this is what I asked. Like anybody wants to join the Twitch stream, and nobody has replied to me yet. So let's see. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's very cool too. Somebody is sending this message. Station name Niagara Network. That is very cool. These looks like real devices. I'm not sure if they are actually doing testing or just kind of like jamming the network, so to speak, right? Whoa, this is a huge huge set of JSON that is sending over. I'm not sure how many, but let's see. We can kind of like try to get that. Wow, this is huge. That is nuts. I don't know why people are sending so much in here. and what is it for, right? And then a bunch of simple kind of probably a test messages. Yeah, I've got to ask the engineers too, our team in here, if anybody's monitoring this. And like I said, we saw this earlier. Somebody is sending this, not sure what it is, a retain message too. So in retain message, by the way, too, it just means that you want to save the last known good value. So then here, right, we publish, the sender sends this, on topic 9. So it's a bunch of things, and I want to say retained. So retain, which means the broker will then save this. So then their future clients trying to subscribe, they will immediately get this message back too. So that's what it is. Now I don't know what this is talking about. Maybe if you knows Cyrillic, you can tell me what this is talking about. So yeah, okay. Anyway, it does seem like a quiet day today. I don't know if anybody is here, but let's then, what we can do then, why don't we do this, right? I have this particular broker, so let's just use either one of these, right? And not worry about this now. And well, let me kind of just like putting it. Uh, Okay. So now I'm kind of like back here, but like I said, right? If I use this public broker, it looks like there are tons of people doing some things on it. I can publish it there, or maybe use the one on the left side. So why don't I just use the one that I have, right? That I set it up, or if you're setting up yourself, setting up a cluster, you can be testing that. But let's kind of now get into writing a client. How about that? I've been talking long enough, so oh, okay. Well, that's not what I want. I think it's just somehow I think. Um, Sometimes I think the my touchpad is a little bit sensitive, so I just have to be careful with it. So, but what I want to look at is basically getting into the writing a Hive MQ web. Let's not do the WebSocket client. Let's do a programmatic client, right? So we can use this command line tool. So yeah, why don't we do this? Last time we did a JavaScript client, right? And that's what we did, right? If you recall. But let's kind of take a look at the JavaScript client again, okay? So then we kind of review it a little bit. Let me see, making sure. Okay, you're a little quiet today. I don't know if Fußnabel, if you're still online, but I hope you are. So, but what I wanted to do now is basically do this one thing, which is let me do this. Let me kind of go back to my own. So then what I'll do is let me kind of like undo this. And by the way, that the chart behind here on my screen is actually I forgot. Gee, what is it? Notre Dame Cathedral up in Montreal, Canada. I was there for DOSCon, that conference, 2 years ago before COVID. And then they actually had an amazing light show. So let me kind of show that to you again. I think I might have it over here. So they were doing a light show. It was unbelievable. So if you are from Montreal, I'm sure that you're familiar with that. But if you're outside of Montreal, if you ever wants to go visit, it's just an amazing experience because they're doing these, I think they are laser light, right? That's kind of, they turn off the lights inside the church. And basically too, they have different stations of different laser lights, kind of a show. And they have music with it too. It was just fantastic. So I took this picture too, right? I think it was kind of like right before it started the show. But anyway, it was like phenomenal. I really like it. So if you ever get to go, do consider going there. So all right. So like I said, right, let me kind of bring up my okay, this is just my thing. So okay, let's kind of go let me kind of go back in here. The WebSocket client, let me see. This, I think that's okay. I'm just gonna kill that. Okay, here we go. So what I wanted to do now is to do to take a look at the my WebSocket client for not WebSocket, the JavaScript client from last time. So let's kind of get over here. So my, oops, here. Actually, this one is, I think it's Twitch. Oops. No, actually, you know what? And then I sometimes save things, right? So FMQ. Oh, I cannot remember where I put things. I just have to look for it again. I think I know where. Here we go. Hive MQ. See, I work for different companies and then becomes very confusing. I got too many things. So, okay, here we go. This is the one. Okay. So this was the one that I worked on last time. Let me kind of make it a little bigger and not block it, right? And okay, so that's what we worked on. And by the way, Food Snobble, thanks a lot, right? That's the one that we worked on last time. So and let me kind of make sure I have this in here. So okay, and so this was if you want to write the simplest case, right? Of let me kind of unblock myself too. I'm realizing I'm blocking myself. So here we go. Okay, all right. So if you recall, right, in order to kind of do a simple kind of a MQTT client, all you need to do first is just make the connection and then do a subscribe, right? Subscribe to some topic and then you publish to that topic. That's kind of like a basic case scenario. That's how you can do, right? And of course, too, in this particular case, all of these other parameters like the QoS and the retain messages and keep alive, and if it's last will, it wouldn't be set accordingly. These are just default, on that default level. And then if you want to set all those parameters, you should be able to programmatically do it too. So essentially, too, the client will get the handle from when you make the connection using mqtt.connect, right, to my particular well, in this particular case, I'm doing localhost. So what we want to do, okay, let's kind of do a quick run of this first. So let's do this one thing. We'll maximize this, and then let me bring over my this guy. I bring over my command line, then we can kind of work with this. And where's my handle? I can't. Okay, sometimes. Okay, I don't know where the middle thing to kind of like do the, but that's okay. I think you can see it too. So let me. Now we are not running this local, but let's I wanted, well, actually I did this wrong. What I wanted to do in here is MQTT, and then I want to connect to my to my cluster, right? So in this case, let me kind of go back. I should have kind of copy it over here. So this is the one. So this is my host, and then is 8884. So I'm gonna copy this over here into my. I think I should be able to. Okay, let me do this one thing. So, but I can just do client. Okay, so this is the one, and then it's 8884, right? And I think it is 8884. Okay, 8884. Okay, let's see. All right. So, all right. So this I should be able to then run. And last time we were running it over, I think it was here, right? No, actually, I think it was this one. Okay, let me clear this, and then this isn't. Let me kind of go back. I actually, oops. Actually, no. I kind of got it all. FMQ. And then there's Twitch, right? Can you see? Let me kind of double check that you can see okay, right? Yeah. Like, I guess I'm like blocking you, but I cannot. Oh, here we go. I wanted to kind of do this one thing. Then you can see this little better. I hope it is kind of big enough too. I was basically told that, if it's the white background is better than color. So that's what I'm using right now. But you can tell me too. But you guys have been a bit quiet today. So maybe it's just a day of, I don't know whether it's snow if you're in North America, right? I mean, here in the Midwest, we've been having snow. I think, oh, it looks like it finally stops. It was snowing since last night and was kept snowing and snowing this morning. I tried to shuffle and just got so tired. Oh my gosh. And we got about maybe like 10 inches, something like that, right? 10 inches, that would be for centimeters. I think it's 1 inch to, I try to remember the formula, 1 inch to 2.5, no, 2.9 maybe, right? Centimeter, something like that. So let's say 3, right? Almost 3 centimeter, not quite, but that means it's like 30 centimeter or maybe like 27 or 28. So that's quite a bit. So you can see too, I mean, it's just like got a lot of snow and it's really hard to kind of clear up. And I don't have a snow blower and I have to do it by hand. And so it's quite tiresome, but I got a good exercise out of it. But anyway, that's that. So, okay, so I was going to say, let me go into this example and run it to make sure it runs, right? But it's actually, you know what, this one, the example, let's kind of do it the old-fashioned way first. So let's connect to my local host, so which means I do need to bring up my local host first, which is then, in this case, you can then run over here, right, in the lower side, or that side. Well, actually, you can't see, but it's that side, right? You can actually bring up your server using Docker too. So making try to make it a little bigger for you. Okay, so as you can see, right, the Docker over here at the bottom here, Docker run -p. This is how you run it. And actually, I might be blocking you too, but yeah. So, oh, you know why? Because my Docker is not running. Okay, so give me a second. Let me bring up my Docker. I think I might have like rebooted my machine. So now I'm bringing up my Docker, but it will take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, let's kind of take a look into here, over here, right? So okay, well let's not test that first, not the local. Let's test the one my cluster. Oops. Wait, it's kind of saying something. Oh, because of Docker already started having it. You have to pay for it, right? That you would kind of they ended that grace period of giving it free for like enterprise level use, right? So kind of like a company. So anyway, so okay, so let's try to run this kind of over here, right? I'm up there now. So let's try to connect to my cloud cluster, right? So that server. So I can still run it from here, and basically should be able to say like node. Oh wait, Twitch. So here we go. So here it's basically saying like hello everyone. So, and how did that happen? It's interesting. It's because this is like I publish my messages too. So I basically, as you can see, right, your same client, you can be connecting to different brokers and using the same client, right? That you just need to connect to different brokers. So this is probably quite kind of obvious to all of you. So over here, let's step 2 again. The first hello came out because I'm doing a first of all, I print out hello first. So this is kind of start of the program before any publish. So after I publish, then oh wait, I am publishing it to a topic called random, and I'm actually asking this. Oh, so it never actually got this message for some reason. It's not publishing to this guy. I'm trying to print out to well, whatever it is. So I can just say uh, that's kind of that is so interesting. I think it looks like the timing isn't interesting. So over here too, right? I basically I do the subscribe first, right? Let's subscribe first. Yeah, okay. And then after the subscribe, yeah, like on message essentially, right? So when you receive the message, and that's what it's doing. So and then this is just a function, right? And then basically too, this is sort of like this kind of like a initial greeting message, right? So something like that, right? Okay, so here we go. And then I publish, right? I basically set the stage and then I publish. I already have somebody subscribing to me. Then basically when it publish, the thing is that I publish, but I am not. Oh, that is interesting. Okay, so I am publishing. I've already have a subscriber subscribing to this topic. So, oh, you know why? Because I'm not. Wait, no, 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 no. Why is it not able to print out? So somehow, I think I'm expecting that once I'm publishing and the broker gets it, the broker will then should be able to kind of distribute that to the subscriber. Subscriber gets it, then it should be printing out the mic to string and then the topic too. But so the topic is random, but it's not printing out. So okay, well let's see what happens. Okay, I don't know. Maybe there's a kind of this guy, right? So okay. So welcome to Mary's Twitch stream, and then just hello everyone. So somehow actually the publish and subscribe didn't work. Why is it so? Um, So in other words, that means maybe the connection didn't work. But of course, I am not printing out any error too, unless okay. So actually, this didn't work, right? So basically, I don't actually know if it actually gets connected okay. So okay, let's take a look. I just copy over this particular this particular host and then port number. Oh, but maybe I'm not using the correct port number. So let me kind of go back to here. Okay. Because this is WebSocket, so maybe I shouldn't be using the WebSocket port number. So let me then go back to my cloud, to my cluster. Access management. Actually, overview first. So maybe I should be using 8883 because I was using the WebSocket plus TLS, so which is incorrect. So let's use 8883 instead of 8884. So again, running it no that this should it still doesn't work, huh? So it isn't like 8883. That is a little bit strange. So I want to be able to print out some error messages. So how would I do it, right? So this is JavaScript. Okay, so maybe we kind of change of course for today. Let's kind of do a bit more of a JavaScript kind of development. So let me kind of then take a look into the maybe like the hold on a sec. Okay, this is the cloud. No, and okay, this is just that, but that's okay. We'll get back to here. Get started. Okay, so this is just that particular client that I'm using basically. So okay, so I basically wanted to kind of take a look into Node.js. Actually, you know what I'll do? And that let me do this one thing. Okay, let's say JavaScript print. Actually, this would be JavaScript, and then I have Mqtt client commands. Right? Okay, let's do the client starting guide in here. Okay, so this is just this guys, but I wanted to see how I can print out. Let me kind of make it bigger so our folks we can all see it together. I just want to be able to print out more error kind of messages too. So okay, so essentially too, that's what I was doing, right? Client on, but I wanted to do client on message, then I do something. Okay, let me do this one thing first. Client on connect, then I do this guy. So I wanted to be able to print out a bit more information too. So let's do a client on and doing the function, doing this guy. So let me do a connect and see what happens. I'll also like basically do a client on. Am I kind of doing it right? Okay. Okay, let's do it like that. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if it gets connected first. So we'll do that part. So that's the situation, right? It basically never got connected. So I like to be able to see, what the error or if any kind of error messages come back. So this is what I wanted to do. Maybe like on error, and can I see the error on error, right? Connection failures. There we go. So on error, that's what I want to do. So the function and error code. So this is just what we want. So okay, let me kind of without copying. Let me see if I can remember that. So error code. Is that right? Error. Oops. The error. Okay, let me kind of take a look again. Oh, it's basically the error. So function error and basically just print out the error. So error. Let's say error, and then basically we'll say, oops. Okay, then oops. Wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So I put in some kind of error and let's see what it comes back. So it actually it's not an error too. That is very interesting. So did I do it right? Is it a client on error? Yeah, that's what it is on an error. Then I'll print that out. So the hmm So I am doing it correctly. Yeah, okay, here we go. It says only catch errors like authentication failure. If you try to connect on the wrong port or the wrong address, no error is generated and you find the client sits there and attempts to reconnect. If the error detects an authentication failure, then you need to quit, otherwise the client will continually attempt to connect. Therefore, the on error event listener should be something like the one below. Uh, Okay, so basically too, we do have to do a client exit, but in my case, it's okay. I do have the client dot end in here. So okay, so it's actually not able to catch the flag, the fact that the connection never happened. So essentially, if it doesn't connect, it just gets dropped. It doesn't comes back to tell me that I never reached something. Huh, that good, right? Isn't it? Oh well, so at least we know that somehow it's not able to connect. And why it isn't able to connect, that is a bit of a mystery when I believe I'm using the correct the host name and everything, right? So okay, but let's then kind of give this a try. Okay, let's do my local client now. So okay, let's go back. Actually, you know what? In this case, then let me use another terminal. But let's use this guy, right? Okay. Here. Actually, well, no. Actually, let me kind of go back in here. Docker. I can just start from anywhere. So running like, sorry, recall Docker run, right? Dash P, 8080, and then dash port number is 1883, right? So let's do that. Because my Docker is up running now, so Docker desktop. So Okay, here we go. It's up now. So okay, let me then go back to here. Right, I'm on here. Okay, node example. There's now this time I'm connecting to local, to my local host. Huh, that this is actually odd though. See, I've changed it, right? Oh, you know why? Oh, I forgot to uncomment. What am I talking about? So uncomment the local one. So no wonder. Okay, here we go. I just comment out the remote but forgot to uncomment the local. Okay, so connected is true. Wonderful. So it connected and then okay, so this is fine. You know, running it local is not an issue. But why is it that on my client, oh, you know why? Because I do need to actually provide my username and password, which I did not do, right? Okay, so there we go. And that's the issue. I wonder though, if I decide to have my cluster not remove the credentials, I wonder if it would accept, right? So let me kind of take a look, because I don't want to deal with the username password for the time being. So actually, here we go. Let's kind of going back to my thing in this guy is the WebSocket client example. Oh, you know what? Why don't we do this, right? Let's not try my cluster, but let's try this public cluster because it doesn't require any username and password. So let's use this one instead. I think that's what I'm using. So or I'm not using that one for that, right? This is 1E is mine. Oh, am I actually using the same one? 1E2955. Oh, you know why? I am in fact. Wait, you know what? Am I using mine or am I using the one that's 345? Okay, well, anyway, in any event, let's use the public one. I'll just say the public Hive MQ. Okay, so comes client. Oops. Let's copy this. So this is the public broker. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is. So, okay. So, oh, okay. Well, actually, I am in fact using the public broker, and that shouldn't require any username password. So I am not sure why it isn't working. I thought I probably copy in the wrong thing. So, all right. Well, let's give this one a try. So this time, coming along, what I would do is let me do this. Well, this isn't the best like programming experience, right? I should be able to kind of code it so it's dynamic, right? Something. So localhost. This is the localhost. I thought was my Mary's cluster. So, anyways, this guy isn't bad, but now I realize I'm actually using the same. So let me kind of connect to my own. Let me see if that works. But I'll do that after. But let's connect to this public one. So this one is a public. So let's do that. So yeah, see, even this public, it doesn't get connected. Let me try that now with mine, the one that I show you that I just let me comment this guy out. Let me then use this and okay. Let me then now go and copy my particular one, which is wait, it's actually no. Is I think let me go to getting started. Access management. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, wrong one. Let me kind of getting started, right? No, actually, I'm sorry. Oh, is it overview? Overview, yes, there we go. So this is the one. Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, isn't it? This one is mine, right? So why is that? It seems like this one. Oh, you know why? I wasn't connecting to the correct public one. I kind of get all confused. So okay, so that's good. Yeah, this is actually the one that's mine. So programmatically, I should have said that this one is Mary's, right? This actually is mine, but it didn't work. So let's set this one, Hive Mq, the public one that we can all use. So which one is that? So let's kind of get back, right? Going to this guy, and so like I said, right? I thought this one was mine, but is was the other one, but it's not. You know, I got it wrong. So sorry about that. Uh, okay. Okay, let me kind of now go to MQTT. Oops. MQTT broker, this public one, right? So so basically that's all it's needed is broker this guy. Okay, let's do that, and it's 1883. So that's the one I should be using. Okay, here we go. I think this should work. So let's see. Okay, let's do that. Node example.js. Ah, there we go. This is good. So we are able to now connect to the public one. So that's how you can connect as simple as that. Just the broker.hivemq.com 1883. So this works. But the only thing is like connecting to my own cluster one for some reason is not taking it. I'm not exactly sure like why this one, right? This is the one I was hoping to connect to, and it's not. Cloud. So somehow HiveMQ, well, this is kind of a strange thing because this is the one that's actually for my cluster, but maybe let's for completeness sake, because I got some things confused. So let me kind of copy this guy. Oh, because it needs credential, right? Okay, there we go. I think it's because it needs my credential, but I don't want to be. I wonder though. Okay, so I wonder if I don't set up my credential, would that means I don't need it? Okay, permanent deletes these. Okay, let me kind of delete. It's not a big deal. Okay, so that means I make my cluster kind of publicly open. Anybody can connect to it if they have the access, right? So there we go. So it'll be the same. I think it should be instant. I'm hoping, right? Okay, so in this case, let's see if it works because I just do a simple connect and there's no username or password before. Maybe that's why it didn't work. But that's interesting though. It did say it should result in an error, but why is the error not showing? But let's do that one thing. So here I am. I'm going to be connecting to my broker this time. Okay. No. So it still doesn't like it, even though I have removed the credential. But let me try this one thing one more time. It's basically going to my public broker and try this now. Access management, connect. Wait, why is it not getting started? I think it's here. Okay, so somehow, and how did I get to my? Here we go. Let me kind of get rid of all of these things in here. Okay, here we go. We can worry about those later. let's kind of go back to my cluster. Okay, so now this guy has been running, and this is the name, and that's the URL 8883, and that's what I was doing, right? And just for completeness sake, I wonder if it's kind of not letting me. Okay, let's do this one thing. Let me kind of doing like this, right? Let me just kind of redo it again. Okay. Okay. And actually, let me do this one thing. I don't think I did it correctly. So let me do that, and then let me paste this guy, which is actually whoops. I don't know how it. Oh, because you know why? Because I was like doing like this, the wrong key. So okay, so this is the one to my broker, and I have removed the credential and making it kind of publicly available. So all right, let's kind of give this one more try. I don't think it would work, but the thing is though, in this case, it should give me username, password, kind of. Well, before when I had the credentials, it should then complain that I wasn't giving the credentials correctly. So I wonder one thing. If I give a wrong set, let me redo this. Well, I think I've been going at this a bit longer. Okay, let me kind of like okay. Okay, let me do it again. Let me set it again. Okay, let me kind of add this. Okay, so that's cool. But that's what we did before, which is here and this WebSocket. So maybe because if I tell it not to use SSL, okay, but this works. This connect works. Okay, that's not an issue. I basically just wanted to see this one thing. If I want to connect and use options, right? Oh, client ID. Connect, you can do it like that. So I can say username. That's how I can do. Just basically have a JSON. Okay, here we go. I just wanted to do this one thing. Okay. Username. Actually, do I need a quote? I need a quote, right? Oh, double quote. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see if that would, let's see what happens in this case. I just give the username, I'm not giving password. Okay, so it doesn't trap the error. But I thought it says that only like the on error should still giving out, the way the broker is, it should still catch the fact that authentication didn't work. But in this case too, it isn't able to trap the error, which is kind of to my surprise. It's kind of a bit of a disappointing thing. And I thought it should be able to trap the error. So, okay, let's say I'm just kind of assuming his username, but let me see if it's actually the expected JSON. Is it called username or does it have to be like camel case, right? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So this would be one, right? This option, password, right? Like that. So, so somehow it is not so if it doesn't come back with a connect and it doesn't kind of like have an error for me either, which is kind of disappointing, right? Why is it so? Anyway, yeah, that's a bit of a confusing thing in this case too, because I'm expecting, right? I'm not giving password, then it should actually give me an error saying that some the error should be trapped and saying something. But let's kind of do this one thing. Let me give something completely wrong and then say wrong user, right? I think it's password, right? Let's see if that's the right thing. Yeah, password and then that. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I need to give all. Yeah, it's just kind of like any, right? Yeah. So username here is just giving that. So okay, let's see. In this case, so it's somehow the connect. It should give me. It should actually give me like an error in authentication too. So somehow it is not working. So that part I'm not sure like why. And again, this is like JavaScript and somehow it's not doing anything. But all right. But the thing is too is that I have been like doing this stream for 2 hours already, so it's time for now, and I do have another thing to do. So I just wanted to thank you for having sat through with me, and I'm sorry I don't know why this connection isn't working connecting to my cluster. Right, you see that it is the right cluster. I'm giving wrong username password, trying to trap the error, and it didn't get print out. Right, so I'm not sure. So let me kind of do a bit of investigation to see how to overcome this problem right now. Yeah, it is a bit intriguing. But I was also hoping to do a Java client too. But as such, I think I may kind of running this stream a little too long, and I also need to be getting going with some other tasks. So what I'll do is let me kind of get that going. And if you're interested too, let me know, right, in chat or join my Discord server, right? And I would like more folks to join my Discord. Let me share my Discord again. So if you want to join my Discord, if you want to see more examples, I can actually try to do more streams too. But the past 2 weeks, I was just so busy, right? Different things. So I didn't, I was hoping to do, another stream, but I didn't get to do it. But I was kind of thinking I need to spend more time doing the stream and really investigating into some of these things and then becoming more clear, right? And do something more, even more interesting. And also one note is that if you are a Java developer, if you're familiar with Spring, now the thing is, Hive MQ has a plugin that can work with Spring too, which is pretty cool. So if you are interested in that, I actually will be meeting with guess what, like Josh Long, right? If you know him, he's used to be about Pivotal, right? The Spring, the poster person, right, of VMware or Spring, right? The whole Spring framework. So he's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I hosted him at the Java Champions Conference where I also presented there, but I hosted his session. So we talked about we wanted to do a Twitch stream together. So I think that would be amazing, right? If you are like a Java person, you want to see how to get MQTT to work with Spring. That would be the episode that you don't want to miss. So, but I will make sure to let you know. But otherwise, too, I stream every Wednesday afternoon, like Central Time, right? So if it's Europe, yeah, for example, I'm sorry, it's a bit later. But let me try to get it going sooner. But sometimes, it's just things are busy, just not able to get around to things earlier. But this stream is being recorded. So if you have any questions, anything interesting you want to share, and App Boy, I hope your product launch, right, goes really well. If you're ready, I bring you on and talk. Let's talk about MQTT. And then yeah, and then I think it should be fun to kind of build something interesting. Like I said, I'm still trying to get a board. I need to kind of get busy, get a board, then also get kind of code it up and use like an Arduino IDE working with ESP32. We can kind of like set up some samples too, and I can be setting things up so then we show you, right, small little projects that we can work on with different devices and leveraging on MQTT. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much again, folks, and I hope you're having the good rest of your day or evening. And I really appreciate you being here. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.